What up, y'all? It's Paige and I'm back with another video. If you don't know who I am the person behind Being Paige, and I talk about all things veganism, raw veganism, minimalism, yoga, meditation, spirituality, all that fun stuff. Today's video I wanted to talk about a concept that I'm super fascinated by, and I recently read this book actually last month called Digital Minimalism. It's by a man named Cal Newport, and he is a very successful professor, researcher, author, and podcaster, and he does all that without using social media. How cool is that, guys? So I'm sure you're familiar with the term minimalism since it's become such a buzzword, but what does digital minimalism mean? According to his book, digital minimalism is a philosophy of technology use in which you focus your online time on a small number of carefully selected and optimized activities that strongly support things you value and then happily miss out on everything else. I had been planning on doing a social media detox or digital decluttering experience for a while, and I happened to be watching one of my favorite raw vegan YouTubers, and she was going through something and said she was going to go on a 30-day detox, and I was like, you know what, I want to do that too. So she kind of inspired me to start it, and I had been wanting to read this book for a while, so I thought it'd be perfect. You know, if I'm going to go on a detox, I might as well order this book. I will say though that because I already have a limited amount of social media platforms I do interact with, I only got off of Instagram for those 30 days. Well, it ended up being more than 30 days, but Instagram was my main focus of where I wanted to take some time away. I was still on YouTube, and the main reason for that was because I was also creating videos myself on my YouTube channel. My main goal was to create rather than consume, and I did that. If you look back on the videos for the month of June, I cranked out a lot of videos. I had so much momentum going, I had so much passion. It's kind of fizzled out a bit now, and I don't necessarily think that's because I'm back on Instagram. I find creative energy so fascinating, and I feel like it has peaks and valleys, and it's like a wave, you know, that comes and goes. There's actually a great book by Elizabeth Gilbert, who is an author I really admire, and it's about creative living, and it's called Big Magic. So check it out if you haven't checked it out. I've read that book already. It's been a while, but from what I remember, it was super inspiring and interesting to learn about how we harness or don't harness our own creative energy. So my goal for this digital detox was basically to spend those 30 days away from Instagram, away from the mindless scrolling and the constant comparing and the pointless posts. Take pause. I am somebody who loves to live an intentional life, and I found that I wasn't using Instagram intentionally, but I didn't understand why. So getting to take that step back totally cleared up why I even use that social media platform. And so part of this experience was a way for me to get clear on my intentions. And I think that's important for any social media platform. So I did write my digital minimalism manifesto, and I'll link it down below. It's on my blog. Check it out, and it has a couple things that I'm now going to be doing going forward with social media, as well as my intention for using social media. I think with anything, even with veganism, it's so important to have a why. If you don't have a why, you don't have that intention in the first place as to the reason behind what you do. I think that's really important, and I think having that space away from social media gave me the clarity that I needed to be able to write that. So let's talk about the slow media movement. This is something that was talked about in the book Digital Minimalism, and it's this idea that instead of mindlessly consuming social media as like a passive activity, we need to become more intentional and use it in a slower fashion. And by using it in a slower fashion, you just already become a little bit more aware of why you are consuming it. And I love this idea because I find it so worrisome how much we consume on social media. So Tim Ferriss, who's another successful author and podcaster, he also talked about this movement and called it the low information diet. So rather than consume all this information from all these different media outlets and social media platforms and websites, pare it down, figure out the most important ones that you need to get your information from, so that rather than being overwhelming and high information, it's low information, smaller bits, so that you could process and your brain could process. And this brings me to Dunbar's number of 150. So there is a theory based off this anthropologist who was studying the size of neocortexes and the size of social groups and primates, and discovered that historically 150 is that number that one shouldn't exceed in terms of their social group. That after that, it becomes too much to be able to handle your social group, and you won't be able to stay in contact or have deep relationships. I mean, staying in contact I feel like is different nowadays with the use of social media, but how real and strong are those connections? That kind of remind me too of the theory of how nervous systems haven't had a chance to adapt to how much external stimuli and information we are receiving on a daily basis, that it has caused all this nervous system dysregulation, and fight or flight response has been higher, especially after the past like 2 years, and all these things that aren't normal and natural for us humans. So rather than feel like we need to be on it all the time and hyper vigilant and, read up on the latest news all the time and see what our friends are doing all the time and make sure we're just up to date on everything, because obviously this FOMO thing is like a real trigger for people in terms of not wanting to be left out, which I get, I've been there, but at the same time, I'm so overwhelmed most of the time by social media. Even just YouTube. I don't even have a TikTok or a Snapchat, and I'm a millennial. So I know already I'm not in the norm. Things already bleeding over. To me, it just doesn't make sense to have so many different social media platforms, even though I'm creating a business through social media. So yeah, I get that, but I'm staying true to my values. The whole experience of doing this digital detox was amazing. And even after the 30 days, when July 1st hit, I didn't want to go back on Instagram. Guys, like, that was kind of mind-boggling to me. I thought I'd be excited to go back on and want to see what I missed, and I didn't. And I think I went like 2 more weeks after the 30 days of not wanting to go back on or not even needing to go back on, and I liked just not having that extra responsibility of checking my Instagram. And part of the manifesto I wrote says that I will sign in and out every time I use Instagram, and I've stayed true to that. Like, I don't even have the app downloaded back on my phone. I have to search for it in the search bar of my iPhone to get to Instagram, go on Instagram, sign in, do what I need to do, and sign out. Probably the longest I've spent on Instagram since I went back on it is like 5 minutes, which is insane to me considering how long I spent on it before. And I still love being able to create reels and post and whatnot and kind of stay up to date with some of my friends and family, but really not having Instagram doesn't make me feel like I'm missing out anymore. What's interesting is I used to have this fear, it's like this existential fear of, oh my god, if I never had social media, would anyone know who I was? Would I be important? And once I had that thought, I realized how powerful and manipulative social media is and why it was created. And if you do more research about social media in general and, the tech giants in Silicon Valley in California, or watch even like documentaries like The Social Dilemma, which I'll put in the description box below, you'll start to wonder the intentions behind the very brilliant people who created these tools and softwares, and maybe how it's not the best for us humans to be using them, especially on a daily basis. And that's not to like knock all social media and say it's horrible, it's evil, because there are some people out there who are super anti-social media and will never go on it. I do see it as a tool, and I see how it could be used in the right way or in a more productive way, instead of social media just being something that consumes your attention and makes you feel crappy all the time. Now, I will say, I think that there is a problem with how unregulated social media is, especially when it comes to younger generations. With the rise of TikTok and how many younger kids were consuming TikTok, because a lot of people were inside, their homes for the past 2 years and couldn't go do other stuff that they would be able to use to stimulate their brains. I question the longevity of how these social media apps, platforms are going to affect children, like their attention span, their self-confidence, their ability to communicate and socialize in person, their feelings of self-worth. I mean, there's already been research showing that because of the rise of technology and social media, the younger generations are having a huge increase in suicide rates and depression rates, and that is something that is super concerning. So I will say I'm not perfect with social media and I'm still learning what works for me. Having a public digital manifesto now on my website, my blog that you can check out, I'll put the link down below, is something that is a reminder of why I am doing what I'm doing. Granted, it's kind of hard when you have a business and you're trying to grow that business on social media, but not wanting to use social media too much. So I'm trying to find a good balance when it comes to that, because I want to be able to enjoy my time on social media and make it intentional and worthwhile. So if you're interested in doing a digital detox, highly recommend it. You don't have to do it for 30 days. You can do it as short or as long as you want. The biggest thing for any detox is just to give yourself a break away from the source. That's why it's important to delete Instagram, delete it off your computer if you need to as well. Just make sure you don't have access to it, so it's not easy for your trigger fingers to just click on an app or type in Instagram and go on it. A tool that I discovered for my computer is this website called Cold Turkey. Basically, Cold Turkey is a software that will block any programs, games, or websites while you request it to during a certain amount of time. That way you can stay focused on tasks and keep it simple, task oriented. So if you're doing something for work or doing something on your computer that you don't want to have the distractions of other websites and apps open, you can use that software to help you. It's completely free. I just downloaded and use it for the search engine that I use, and you can go from there. It's pretty cool, and I think it's super beneficial, especially now because our attention spans clearly have been ruined by social media. Basically, we can use technology to help us with our technology. And I know that sounds kind of weird. I know I'm not alone in this. There's other people out there who have experienced the same issues with social media. Just remember though that social media is meant to be a tool, and you get to decide how you use it. You get to decide how you want your attention to be spent. At the end of the day, if you don't want social media, there's nothing wrong with that. I will fully support anyone who doesn't want to be on social media. And maybe one day I'll get to the point where I'm not on social media. So we'll see. I can dream. So that was basically my video about digital minimalism. I highly recommend the book that I've been mentioning. There's also many other books about this topic you can find online. Anything I talked about, I will link down below, or at least try to link down below. As always, please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content and want to look forward to more videos. I have so many ideas of videos I want to do, including on topics about minimalism. So hope you enjoyed. Hope you got something out of this. I will see you again in the next video. Bye.